Hey, this is WhyBeAre with BeamNG.drive, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Ibishu Miramar, which is the new car that was added in the 0.5.4 update. So we're going to start off with the base model, and we'll get it in a color that's not the default color, because we've already seen the car in the default color when we did the video for the update itself. So how about we go with garnet red, and I think that looks pretty good. So we'll do a quick pan of the vehicle so you can see what it looks like. And the vehicle itself is nothing special. By that I mean it just feels like a basic vehicle from the 1960s. It does have a unibody chassis, so it's relatively lightweight at just about 2,200 pounds. The engine is a 1.6 liter engine that makes 82 horsepower, so it's got an okay power to weight ratio just because the vehicle's so light, but it's not really fast or anything like that, but it's faster than I would expect for a vehicle from the 1960s to be. And the suspension on this thing, in the front we do have an independent suspension setup, and then in the rear we have a more basic suspension setup that's not as fancy as that. But if we get a race version of the car, we can get a better suspension setup. Now, one thing I always have to watch out for when I'm driving a car this slow is when you try to slide and you try to power out of it. Yeah, that usually doesn't work out in your favor because it just doesn't have enough power to use the power to get out of trouble. So right there, that was actually a good example of crashing into soft brushes and then getting no damage. Like normally if you crash there, you wreck your car up. But the soft brushes, they allow you to just kind of bounce off the bushes without getting destroyed. Oh, my hubcap! The hubcap just fell off. Okay, right there, the front hubcap. I'm going to go find it just to prove a point. Like, it's somewhere. Wait, is that it? Yep, there it is. There's the hubcap that just fell off. I am being so observant right now. I'm like, there's my hubcap. There it goes. Like, it was so pointless to find it, but I had to make sure I wasn't seeing things, kind of. Like, I'm 99% certain I saw a hubcap, but I had to confirm it. It fell off at just such a strange time. Like, we're just driving along and oh, there it goes. I assume that first collision must have done just enough damage to it to loosen it, and then we hit a bump, and then bye-bye hubcap. Anyways, let's try to actually do some significant damage to the vehicle. We're able to get it up to almost 80 miles per hour right here, so that should be enough to get something happening. That's pretty good. Radiator damage, so this thing could actually still drive after that impact, which is pretty impressive for such a high-speed impact. Now, the driver, he is super dead. This whole area is just caved in and crushed him. So who would be driving this car at the moment? I don't know. The ghost of the driver? He's trying to drive himself to the hospital because he's pinned down, maybe? I don't know. I'm just making things up here. Either way, though, I'm actually super surprised that this thing will drive. Sort of! I say sort of for a reason. If we weren't stuck in a hole, it would still drive, though. So let's pull it out of the hole. Get out of the hole! Oh, wait. Okay, now get upright. This is why you should never pull a vehicle by the nodes while your camera's connected to it. It's so erratic. But sometimes I'm just too lazy to move the camera. Alright, now the vehicle does feel like it's performing worse. That front right tire being popped is not doing us any favors. But I want to damage it up more. As long as it's driving, we can hit things. Well, is that really driving? Oh. Okay, well, that's not driving then. Okay, clutch in. Well, it doesn't matter, I don't think. Roll it backwards into something. Here we go. We're going to hit a tree at like 10 miles per hour, maybe. This is so dumb. I should just reset it, but I want to hit a tree. Oh, we're going to get like 20 maybe. 20 miles per hour? 20 miles per hour. Right into that tree, right where the dirt road is. Perfect! It did like no more damage, but I am so proud of what I did. It's because it hit the bush and it slowed it down. I'm still proud of what I did. So one more look at the damage and then go ahead and reset the car. And yeah, overall, damage looks very reasonable. And now we could go ahead and take a look at the inside of the vehicle. And the inside is a little bit nicer than I expected. I expected it to be pretty bare and basic, and it is. But it's just a little bit more luxurious looking than I was expecting. Not by a lot. It's not a luxury car or anything like that, but it's a little bit nicer than I was expecting to see. Anyways, it does have the functionality you'd expect to see. Steering wheel works. Gauges work. Pedals, those work, although they're really hard to see in the darkness. If you turn on the headlights, the gauges light up, and you got some nice colors on the gauges with the green on the gauge themselves, and then we got blue needles. And then headlights are also functional as well, so you can see them working right there. I mean, if you have a stock vehicle, I've never had issues with the headlights working when it's fully released. Like if it's like a unfinished version, well then they might not, but this is the basically finished version of the Miramar, and it's fully functional in that kind of regard. Not to say it won't be modified in the future, because even the D series, which is the first vehicle that was really available for the game has been modified quite a bit since it was first released. But all the major changes are probably going to be already done to the way the vehicle looks. Anyways, let's go ahead and do a crash from the inside. That sounds kind of fun. And by the way, it's worth noting, I suck at driving cars with a right-hand drive. It just always throws me off. I don't know, man. It's hard. Like, I feel like I should not be this close to the wall while I'm driving, but that's where you should be. I mean, if you're in a one-way tunnel, then you're that close anyways, but you know what I mean. It just doesn't feel right being here. It feels like I should be here on the road, but I know that's technically wrong because I'm taking up both sides of the road. Anyways, high impact crash! Full speed, crash, no slow-mo, and wow. Still driving. Doing a pretty good job on those impacts there. Got to get the camera to be able to see it. Very reasonable looking. But I will go ahead and reset it because I don't want to be driving a damaged vehicle at the moment. I instead want to be taking a look at the other versions of the vehicle. So the next one is the Ibishu Miramar. Now this one has an automatic 2-speed transmission. As I said before, the manual is a 4-speed. So this version is technically a more luxurious version because it has the automatic transmission, but it's a lot slower feeling because of the 2-speed transmission. It has to actually be slower as well, but it definitely feels slower. And we could go ahead and just try to jump it off of here and see if we can get any damage bouncing into the trees. Or a little bit of glass breaking, but that's about it because we are stopped. So let's yank it out of there. Oh, I just tore the door off or something. I can't even see the vehicle. Come on, vehicle, get out of there. Get out of there. It's stuck. Let's just reset it. But that's the only change between the two is the transmission. So that's all we're going to do for that one. Then we have the Lux. Now we have two versions of the Lux. And the only difference between the base and the Lux is that it has fancy hubcaps. Like that's it. It has fancy hubcaps. I went through the whole list. Like, what does it have? Fancier hubcaps. That's it. It's kind of funny, but yeah, that's the only difference, man. And I don't feel like driving a car that just has different hubcaps, so we're going to move on once again to the GTZ. Now, this is where things are starting to get a little bit more interesting. So the GTZ has a bigger engine. It has a 1.9 liter engine, making 87 horsepower. The 1.6 made 82, so there's really not a big difference in terms of peak horsepower, but it does feel like this one delivers the power a little bit more consistently. So it does feel faster than just 5 mile per hour difference, although it does have a different differential in it, which gives it shorter gearing. The gearbox itself is the same gearbox you'll find on the base model, but the differential makes the gearing of that transmission different. Now, the suspension on this one has also been totally reworked. It has like sport springs, shocks, and sway bars front and back, although no sway bar in the back, actually, just in the front. But all that does make the car handle a little bit better. In terms of visual differences, there are only a couple. First, you have some actual wheels, not hubcaps. Over here, we have a GTZ logo, and then on the inside, we have a different steering wheel. And then we have different seats on the front that are equipped with like a headrest, so you can rest your head as you drift your car through those corners. Otherwise, though, there are no visual differences. Like the engine looks the same, even though it's slightly bigger in terms of liters. And the... Come on, get out of there, get out of there. Okay. And the suspension might sit a little bit lower, actually. I didn't actually do a test on that. Otherwise, though, everything else is the same as the base model. So let's go ahead and beat this thing up a bit. Pretty good crash. Keep on going. I don't think we have any issues driving this thing. Radiator damage, that is not a concern. After this one, I want to go ahead and change the map for the next one. Get a more appropriate map. Good hit, good hit. Keep going, keep going. Yes, it can. Now, none of these crashes are that fast just because the car is pretty slow, but we're doing stuff. We're getting crashes. Just slow ones. I'm actually really impressed, though, by the durability. Like, that is surprising me. I would expect it to break a lot sooner just because it's so much older and new cars are new. New is better, right? Well, maybe not in this case. This one's doing it. Whoa! I actually went into the tree right there. That's not good. I'm not going to be able to drive myself out of there. How about pulling myself? We'll grab the roof and yank! 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 That's not working, is it? Yeah, that's now. Okay. I thought of this, though, because I was messing with that before we changed maps. Aha! Oh my goodness, that ruined the roof. Oops. Maybe I should grab it by like a piece that's not gonna bend so hard. Like maybe from down here. Nope, that bent hard too. Okay, maybe we'll just do it with less force. Oh, we could grab by the transmission maybe? There we go. And then into some trees. Doing very minimal damage. So anyways, the next one is the race version, and it makes the most sense to me to go to a racetrack to try out that one. So on to Hirochi Raceway. The race version really does go all out. We're going to be comparing it to the GTZ, but the GTZ is pretty significantly different than the race one. So let's go ahead and keep this in white, because supposedly it's a factory special created for competition uses, and it came out of the factory like this. And in the 60s, they believed that colored paints were heavier than the non-colored ones, so they always painted the race cars white. And that's not true at all. I'm just making that up. So don't go and Google that. Be like, wait, WhyBeAre is wrong. That's a joke. Some people might not get that, though. I don't know. Anyways, before we do too much driving, I actually want to go over the visual differences, because there are a lot of visual differences. So we'll start at the front of the car and work our way back. So on the front right here, first on the bottom right there, we have a little lip right there. That's the front air dam. Then right here, we have an external oil cooler that is there to cool the oil. And then we also have the radiator itself right there, which looks the same as the normal radiator as far as I can tell. But that's a high performance radiator, so it's even better at cooling the engine than the normal one. We also have a couple of covers on where the lights would normally be. So there's no lights on this car. If you try to turn them on, it doesn't really do anything. Actually, the lights on the sides do light up, but those aren't really going to help you see anything. Anyways, moving on to the side of the vehicle, we have these really fancy fender flares that allow you to put fatter tires on it. And then we also have this piece of trim that was added that goes all the way around. It's that black piece right there. And it makes it almost look like you could separate the top of the vehicle from the bottom is what it makes me think of. Like what they did is they took a car from the factory, cut the top off, put a roll cage in it, and then put the top back on and just glued it with that black piece. It doesn't come off or anything, but that's what it makes me think of. And then the inside, you can see that there is a roll cage in there. And if we actually go on the inside, we got a different steering wheel, and all the interior seats were removed except for the driver's one. And then on the back, we have the letters removed, and then we have a spoiler added. And then this one also has a different exhaust than the other version, and it actually has a different look to the engine as well. So let me actually rip off the hood so you can see the different engine, although you never saw the first engine. Oh well. So that's what that one looks like. That one looks real fancy compared to the other one. The other one looked all boring and stuff. But this one's a dual overhead cam engine, so it looks a lot fancier. Or a lot nicer, I should say. And cleaner. Like, to me, that engine looks so much cleaner than this engine, which is like, that looks so boring. And then this one's like, it's got red on it. But you also notice, one thing that's cool is this one has a different exhaust, and then it also has a, where the exhaust goes up to the engine. Like, that's all one piece in the game. You don't have separate control over that. Let me show you what I mean. It's kind of hard to explain if you don't know engines and stuff. I'm trying to keep it simple. But basically, when you change out the exhaust, that whole thing is considered one part, is what I'm trying to say. That, everything. You can't change out, like, just the exhaust tip or something, or I don't know. Anyways, let's go ahead and drive this a bit now. The engine itself, I should mention, is still a 1.9 liter engine. Makes 170 horsepower, though. Pretty big jump from the 87 the other one made. And then all the suspension in this is all race. And then the brakes are also race. It has race drum brakes in the rear, which just sounds so funny to me. It's like, how do you have drum brakes that are for racing? What? But, you know, it's the 60s. Drum brakes were more likely to be used in a situation like that. Nowadays, if you have a race car, you ain't putting drum brakes on it. No way, no how. And the steering is also a little bit faster, so if you steer left to right, you can kind of do things like this a little bit better. And I always like the quick steering on my vehicles. And then the wheels themselves are bigger, and the tires are wider, so it gives you more traction. And I think that about covers all the differences, and we'll go ahead and complete the lap so you can see how well the vehicle does, but I'm just barely keeping it on the road right there. That was a little bit bad. Okay, that was just awful, actually. I don't even want to say a little bit. That was bad. And we have almost done a lap. We just got to keep it on the road for one more corner. And there we go. Oh, I'm not exactly doing a fair look at this because it probably has like 30 pounds less or something because I removed the hood. I don't know how much the hood weighed, but yeah, I did remove it. That's not fair. Anyways, there's a crash. Roll cage and all. Roll cage make sure it holds up really well so the driver is totally safe. And I don't think he would have been okay if the roll cage wasn't there. Although the roll cage did go a little bit in the seat, I still think he would have survived that no problem. Because a lot of the impact was on the side, and then we kept driving. It wasn't a sudden stop that would give you a lot of G's or anything like that. So anyways, let's go and do some crash testing. And the best place for crash testing is, of course, grid map. And before we do crashing, there are a couple of parts on the vehicle I want to talk about that aren't available in any configuration, but you can choose them from the parts menu. There aren't many though, so this won't take long. First, on the paint design, normally you only see empty and black trim used, but we also have the ability to have black bumpers, so it makes it look like the bumpers are made out of plastic. Then we also have the ability to have black trim and black bumpers, so you have both of those. And then we also have the ability to have just body colored bumpers, and I like the way those look. Like, it looks a little different, but I really like the front on it. The rear, it could go either way, but the front looks real good with that color to me. And then it also has the ability to put a tow hitch on it. And then once you put a tow hitch on it, you can put something on the tow hitch, like the trailer. We could actually put a trailer on it, although I don't think that's going to be a good idea considering how slow the vehicle already is. There's another engine that's not used in anything else. It's the 1.6 liter dual overhead cam engine. That thing is a pretty good engine, actually. It makes 111 horsepower. So that's like the kind of engine you would have on the custom version, if there's ever a custom version of this car, I would guess. And then there are also 2 differentials we can use, but I wanted to try to make this loop first. Come on. Just enough power to do that. So we also have a couple of differentials, though, and you gotta remember where differentials are located in this thing. Here they are. So we have a really, another rear differential right there that's not used, the 3.90 to 1 ratio. And then we also have a welded differential right there. So if you're a fan of welded differentials, there you go. I'm not really a fan of one because they're annoying unless you want to just do stuff like this. In which case, we'll go for a welded differential, but I like to drive my cars around corners normally, in which case you don't usually want a welded one. All right, time for the crash testing. First thing I want to do that might be a little bit fun is a side-by-side crash test comparing the strength of the cars if one has a roll cage and the other doesn't. So I'm going to park this car like right here. And then I'm going to spawn up the one with the roll cage and I'm going to slide it into it. And for the color, how about, you know what? Let's go with yellow. I always have to have at least one yellow car per video. Plus yellow and blue, those are nice colors together for a crash. It's going to look real pretty. Alright, put the car right about there. I actually should have used this car for the crash probably because it's faster. Didn't think that entirely through. Hopefully the other car's fast enough to make it worth my time. Although we do have the GTZ version with a whopping 87 horsepower. It'll probably reach maybe, actually might be a little bit more than 60 miles per hour. Yeah, just a bit. So all we're going to do is we're just going to slide the car into that one like so. So it's going to be basically a side-to-side impact. And we'll see if one with the roll cage holds up any better than the one without on this kind of impact. I don't think I could have done that much better. That is a perfect way of doing this. And then also we're going to put it on the sled as well and see how it holds up in actual rollover. But I wanted to test this in specific just because I haven't done any side impact crashes with this vehicle at all anyways. So why not try it with the roll cage and without? Because the only one I did it was with the roll cage anyways. So without, we got some definite indentations on the vehicle. I think it should still drive though, and I think the driver would be okay because that wasn't too high speed of a crash. Over here, again, same thing, some definite indentations, but maybe a little bit less just because that roll cage. Not much though, it didn't do much in that situation. And this car actually is in worse condition than the other one after the crash, I think. Yeah, like this one still drives. This one, not really at all. Like, that's not driving. Oh, nuh-uh. I think it might be because a piece of the other car is stuck in its wheel, though. So that's not really fair. Anyways, though, like I said I would do, let's go ahead and put him on the rollover sled and see what happens. 'Cause I like using the rollover sled. I don't get to use it that often. So we'll start off with the blue one, which is the normal non-roll caged one, and we got to reset it because the class is breaking because I teleported it over there. So all we'll do is we'll just set it right on the sled, parking brake engaged, and then away the sled will go. And we'll become the car, get some slow-mo going, about maybe 16 times slow-mo, and let's see how it rolls. Maybe 8 times slow-mo might be more appropriate because this isn't that high of a speed of a roll. Fun to watch that. Keep going, keep going. Another roll, another roll. Another one, another one. All right, let's speed it up. This is a little too slow. Full speed. So that's what it looks like without a roll cage. Also worth noting, that's how far it rolls without a roll cage. Will it be different? Maybe actually for distance. We'll see. Probably the position on the sled will also vary though, so it's not exactly a full fair comparison though. Anyways, we'll bring the race one all the way over. Slam on the brakes. Right there. Oh, bottomed out just a bit. Oh, come on. I can't get up. Ha! I popped both my tires getting on it. Okay. I guess as long as I'm on it, though, it don't matter. So there's the sled. Go sled. Become the car. I moved the other car forward, but I didn't realize that the other car actually rolled backwards some. But there you go. Look at that. The roof damage on the roll caged one is significantly less. So it just shows you the roll cage is made properly. In the 60s, they still knew how to make roll cages right. Good to know. And that's a joke, by the way, again. Because some people think anytime I say something that's dumb, it's serious. I don't know why. Anyways, how about a couple more crashes? Start off with something simple. Like we did a side impact that was sliding. How about we just do a normal impact like that? So it'll be a lot faster. Now that one has a roll cage, so we're actually going to mostly just be looking at the outcome on the blue car for an actual impact that's in the middle. Because every other time I did that, I was mostly hitting it crooked and stuff, I noticed. So there's one actually in the middle. And this car's catching on fire a little bit. Maybe you can't see the fire. You probably saw it, just in case there's the fire. We're going to take the fire out of the car. That didn't work, did it? The fire's still there. I tried. Ripping the engine out. Engine damage, you think? It's just bouncing over there like, I'm an engine! What am I doing? Anyways. Car of Focus. I really like the way that turned out. That looks very, very reasonable. And it actually is driving almost, maybe even totally straight after that impact. Alright, well, we need a bigger impact then. A much bigger one. I just realized something. When I did that test earlier, I didn't have the GTZ. I had the GTZ with the 116 horsepower engine. Ha! Okay, that one is driver death. I mean, that's a double impact, so it's going to be brutal. But that is, like, just, oh my goodness, kind of brutal. Ain't nobody living through that. I wonder, what if we do it again without the initial damage? Like, that's a serious crash. I think all the trees on Jungle Rock Island made the car feel more durable than it was because the bushes and stuff would slow it down just a bit. But when it actually hit the tree, it'd be going like 40 miles per hour, even though the speedometer would say 70. I'm going to keep it a reasonable speed. Like, nobody's going to take that car at 90 miles per hour. But maybe they're going on the freeway at like 75. That's definitely a lot worse than the ones at Jungle Rock Island. A lot worse. And I like how the hood is hinged at the front. Like, that's a cool thing I've always liked. And it looks so stubby, though. Like, this car looks so stubby in the front now. I wish it would drive just a little bit. Oh, the exhaust is spewing smoke right into the driver's face because the exhaust fell off. That's great. And you're sitting here. I'm gassing my passenger. Oh, God, that's terrible. That's absolutely terrible. And, I don't know, we could do a rear impact. You haven't seen one of those yet, right? And we'll get a normal one. I don't need the roll caged up one. We'll just get a base Miramatic. Try to line it up. What? Come on, go in reverse. Oh, I guess apparently I somehow wasn't in automatic after all. Like it says shifting mode has been set to automatic. But it's arcade and then automatic. That's what it is. I always get those mixed up. Alright, so going. Parking brake engage. Where are you going? You're going to that car and you're going to hit him right in the rear. And we'll get a little bit of slow-mo on this, maybe like 16 times. Because the car's not fast enough to warrant more than that. So this one, we've already seen these before. It looks pretty good. How's the rear look, though? Rear seems like it did a very good job of holding up properly. All right. Can it drive? No problem. I'm actually surprised that thing is driving so perfectly. I just noticed there's a little bit of a hood bump. Don't know how I got that, but just a little bit of a bump on the hood. Get a little bit of bump on the hood even more now. And still it will drive. How'd the blue one do? Ha, he got stuck. Crushing the roof in. And uh-oh, we're stuck. Try to grab it from the rear bumper. There we go. Tore the bumper off, but it should still drive the same as before. Actually looks kind of cool with the crushed down roof. I like it. How can you off-road? Probably terribly, especially in this condition, but this is what we're going to try anyways. Off-roading mode engaged! That was very poor, car. I am disappointed. I thought you would be an off-roading beast. Anyways, though, I think that about covers it for this video. So now we're going to do the stuff that we always do. But I don't have the maps installed, so I got to go do that first. And here we are. So, Miramar, and for this, we don't want the roll cage, so we'll use the GTZ. And it really doesn't matter how fast the vehicle itself is, because we're going downhill anyways. Make our way over to the first test, right here. Slow it up just a little bit, and then floor it. Whoa, 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 whoa. Come on, come on, come on. Straighten yourself. Good job. So first thing we're going to do is just convertibilize it. And then we are going to go ahead and crash it. And it's going to be about the same speed as any other car on this map. They all pretty much go the same speed unless there's something really wacky. We'll do just a bit of slow-mo on this one, like 16 times. We could do 100 times, but convertibilize it, nothing really interesting looking usually happens. It's just kind of whoop, and there goes the hood. Like that, whoop, and there goes the hood. I mean the roof. Now we got a perfectly flat car, actually, except for the seats that stick up. Camera on the inside has unfortunately shifted, so we cannot drive it from that. But it actually looks kind of cool. Like if it was a convertible, you know, I'm imagining the roof was actually not there at all type of deal. And it had a windshield. It might look decent enough. Anyways, next test is to crash it into a wall. You guys got to back it up for a bit, though. Okay, there we go. Nice and slow, and go. I also like the taillights on this thing. I didn't really mention that at all, but there's neat looking taillights. And they do function. See? They function. Anyways, 200 mile per hour crash into a wall this time, just for fun. Nah, I was going to do it in full speed, but you know what? If you want to watch it in full speed, just hit the arrow key to the right once, and you'll see just what it would look like at full speed if you're watching on a computer. "100 times slow-mo instead it is." I mean, look at how fast that's happening anyways. You wouldn't gain much from full speed on that. And that thing just totally crumpled. Like, the more modern cars, they don't crumple that hard. That one crumpled really hard, which is what you'd expect to see. And now for the final stage of testing, on to Leap of Death. And for this one, we will once again use one that does not have a roll cage, just because that's more representative of the vehicle itself and not how strong the roll cage is. Kind of do a weird angle there. Now we'll watch in full speed. And if everything goes according to plan, and it might be interesting, we'll also do slow-mo. Haven't decided yet. Wow. Wow, that was a harsh initial impact. Like, usually the vehicle will have some momentum still going and it won't totally collapse on the first crash. That one, it just instantly, absolutely destroyed the bumper. Coming out of nowhere to take that hit on me. Yeah. Insult to injury right there, bumper. Alright, so we'll do it one more time. This time, we'll throw in some slow-mo, but I don't think we'll get that cool angle we had last time. Let's see what we can get, though. Wait for it. Slow it down, and really slow it down here. So this one, though, you'll see when it hits the ground, it kind of keeps moving. The other one stopped temporarily. That's what caused it to get so destroyed. Although that one still was pretty equally destroyed. Like one impact and that thing is a goner. And then we'll let it fall all the way to the bottom, and then we'll finish up the video. Ball of fire. Away it goes. I like watching the engine separate and then bounce all on its own. Like, I'm free! Freedom! And until next time, this has been WhyBeAre. Next video won't be about the update because I've done everything there is. There are no new scenarios for it, so there's not one I could do for that. Anyways, WhyBeAre. See ya!